like to call to order the meeting of the Maricopa County Community College District Governing Board for November 28th, 2017. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Elisa Peterson.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson. Substitutions, looks like we don't have any. Student life reports, Paradise Valley Community College.
Thank you all for waiting. We're going to wait until the presentation comes on.
Help us on its way.
Technical difficulties. All right. Good evening, President Hendrick and the members of the board, Dr. Harper Marinick and the CEC representatives, college presidents and our friends within MCCD.
Would you use the microphone, please?
Yes, ma'am. Is this better? There we go. My name is Alyssa Peterson, and I'm the president of Paradise Valley Community College's student government. PVCC is a proud place where students learn, practice, and value positive social change. Tonight, you will learn about the student-led efforts to create community on campus and serve our neighbors off campus. First, I'd like to introduce Michael Guzman, president of PVCC's Adults Who Are Returning to Education, or AWARE Club.
Good evening. So this semester, the AWARE Club successfully organized an event that we repeat each semester in the form of an evening barbecue. We call it the Fall Festival. Spring, we call it the Spring Festival. This semester was the biggest and most successful yet. Oh, I forgot. We raised the funds to provide food, beverages, desserts, and popcorn and snow cones for students, faculty, staff, and administration at PVCC, all for free at no cost to the attendees. This event was significant because the goals for these events are not only to include the evening student demographics in the community events that they often miss out on, but also to create a platform where community building, networking, and creating relationships is the result. Students are able to get fed good food for free, make friends, listen to music, play games, and visit informational tables. And what I thought was the most wonderful was the opportunity that was for faculty and administration to interact with these students outside of the classrooms on personal levels. The community building opportunities not only strengthen the relationships with the student body, but gives the evening students and returning adult students the feeling of inclusion and belonging on campus that is important for them to feel as students. The result was unprecedented. We had 250 to 300 people attend this event. We cooked over 300 hamburgers, hot dogs in less than 2 hours, in lines going down the sidewalks. But it was just a wonderful opportunity where also we had a few professors bringing their classes out, but it was a wonderful opportunity for, like I said, faculty, administration, staff, and students to all interact and be able to build these relationships outside of the classrooms. We're also excited for another event that's coming up this weekend that we do on the campus as well through our Club Ed and our Fine Arts at PVCC. It's called the Festival of Tales. And that's an event that we'll put on Saturdays open to the community. We have craft tables, students and groups and clubs all take on tables. They do crafts with the children. We have theater performances, storytelling, and we give free books to the children that come on campus. And that's going to be this Saturday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And so all of these are just examples of what we do on the campus that builds the community, with the community, our students, faculty, staff, and just gives those opportunities for everybody. And so next, I will be introducing here. Oh, that's you. She's got it.
Thank you, Michael. This past year, our campus has hosted and been involved in various service events, reaching out to both our immediate community and the community at large. Please let me introduce Sierra Clement, representing Phi Theta Kappa.
PVCC is committed to serving our community. Our Phi Theta Kappa chapter hosted a backpack and sock drive for homeless in our area of Phoenix. To conclude the drive, we hosted the I Have a Name Projects bus on campus, as you can see in the top of the slide. The bus generates awareness for the issue of homelessness in our community, and we were able to collect backpacks to personally deliver to them to schools in our community. Also, PVCC has adopted the street that our campus is located on. Each semester, we dedicate a day to help clean up our community by picking up trash along the road and the surrounding neighborhoods. This day is so impactful to not only our students, but also our neighborhoods by reminding us that we all have a vital role playing in picking up the trash around our neighborhoods. Finally, as you will see in the bottom left, students in our Emerging Leaders program packed food boxes at Feed My Starving Children in Mesa and visited the Andrea House twice during the Thanksgiving holidays to serve others in need. Positive social change is a value at our college that has always been embraced by our students. By contributing to projects including United Way, PVCC students are actively making a difference on campus and in our community.
Thank you. One of our student government annual traditions is the holiday drive, known as Adoptive Family. Chairing this committee is Shanae Gurmick, student government senator, who will share with you the importance of this campaign.
Adoptive Family is a recurring holiday season fundraiser that is hosted by the Student Life and Leadership Office in Student Government and focuses on bringing the PVCC community together to give back to the city's community as a whole. Together, we are honored to be sponsoring 10 families. As a community college, much of our institution relies on the taxes paid by the people in the city's community. To be able to give back to some of the people who make Paradise Valley Community College a possibility is more than just amazing. It is motivating, inspiring, and perhaps most importantly, it is a humble reminder to us all that generosity comes in many different forms. I am truly honored to be a part of this amazing journey. Adoptive Family would not have been possible without Ryan Martin, Mike Ho, Maria Camila Olave Rodriguez, Emma Magana, Sierra Clement, as well as PVCC's student government and the college's community.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to PVCC's student leaders. We sincerely appreciate your support as students of Paradise Valley Community College. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Mr. President, may I have permission to address two of the students, please?
Ms. McGrath.
Thank you. President Peterson, how many students do you have active in student life on your campus?
In student life, countless. In our student government, there's about 12 total. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Is it Guzman? Yes. I'd like to talk to you a moment, if I may. I was so pleased to hear you say that you're doing things that include the night students. There's a gentleman who lives here in the valley. He lives out in what is called Levine or Waddell. It's way out almost to the White Tank Mountains. And he graduated from college in Colorado, and then he came home and farmed and ranched. And he didn't have anything to do, so he went to night school at Glendale Community College. He took every class they had, and he was a little bit resentful that they had this wonderful student government that he wasn't able to participate in. So he organized student government, the first one in the nation, and he organized student governments countrywide, and he became the first nationwide president of the evening student government students. And I want to thank you for carrying on that tradition, because it means a lot to the people who can only participate in the evening.
Yes,
Appreciate you very much.
Thank you.
Mrs. Livingston.
First of all, I'm very impressed with what Paradise Valley Community College has done, and all the colleges here. I know, I think I say this every month. I don't know, however, and the college presidents might be able to answer this, we receive countless emails and countless invitations. Are there ever any invitations to participate in events like this, or to donate of our time or finances? Do we ever receive anything like that? And if not, can we? Yes? Okay. All right. That would be great. Thank you. Thank you for all you do. You have great big hearts.
Actually, if you're offering. Hi, Alyssa Peterson. If
Hi,
you are
Alyssa.
offering, we actually still have some items off of the Adoptive Family list. If any of you are willing to sponsor, we would love that. I can email you the list.
Yes, please do. Please do.
So while you guys are offering.
All right. Thank you.
Ms. McGrath.
Thank you, Mr. President. I forgot to mention the name of the wonderful student that is still studying is Dwayne Justice. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments? Okay, we have 6 Emeritus Distinction Awards this meeting. President Bustamante, would you approach the podium and introduce your honorees?
Good evening, President Hendricks, members of the Governing Board, Chancellor Marinick, CEC members and guests. This evening, I am pleased to present 2 individuals who are being recommended for Emeritus distinction for their dedicated service to the Maricopa Community College District and for their many contributions to Rio Salado College, our students, and our community. The first individual I'd like to present for recommendation is Dr. Angela Ambrosia. She began her career at Phoenix College. Angela, you can join me up here at the podium. She began her career at Phoenix College in 1985 as the department chair for medical technology. Later in 1996, she joined Rio Salado College as the math faculty chair of computer information systems, and more recently serving as the faculty chair of allied health, a department that she created. Dr. Ambrosia played an instrumental role in developing the college's first online classes. That was just yesterday, I think, something like that. She was the lead faculty on the team responsible for the creation of Rio Learn and spent countless hours training her colleagues in a boot camp to learn how to develop courses for online learning. At Rio, you could always count on her to embrace and support new college initiatives such as our Every Monday Start Dates, Second Life, and the Student Success and Scaling Initiative, just to name a few. Her school spirit will live on in Rio history. There isn't anything that she wouldn't do to cheer students on, including participating in a dunk tank to raise funds for student scholarships. I thought she would hit her head and get hurt, but she never did. I actually hit my head and got hurt. And she appeared in many costumes and at college events. And it was no surprise that when Rio selected a mascot, she won the Splash Look-alike contest, wearing her own custom-made outfit. So she definitely went the distance to wow us. So thank you, Angela, for your many years of contribution and to your service to our community. Would you like to say a few words?
Yes.
Okay. Let me present you, though, first with this Emeritus Distinction Award. Isn't that beautiful?
Oh, thank you.
I can hold it for you.
President Hendricks, members of the board, CEC, and guests. I thank you very much for this opportunity to say a little bit about my career with Maricopa Community College District. It has been a wonderful and marvelous career. 31 years of happiness. I have to say, my many friendships that I have acquired has enriched my life so much. Also, and I think the success that we have had at Rio has been my guiding light for doing things. I love innovation. I try things. Learning is fun. And I like my students to know this. And so even, Halloween, I go to every department. And I do dress up. And I just, I have to thank our team. it was never me, it was us. Even we followed, when we created Rio Learn, which is our LMS, we followed Microsoft's process for software development. And they had something that they called SMEs, subject matter experts. Well, I said, oh no, we can't call SMEs, there got to be SMEGs, subject matter expert groups, because it was never one person. And that's what the feeling that was brought at Rio, all of us. It's never one person, it's all of us. It's been administration. I can go up and say, hi, Chris. Hi, Dr. Thor. Okay? And so what happens is it's been just a wonderful relationship that I've had with Maricopa. And I really thank you very, very much from the bottom of my heart for such an opportunity that was given to me and to us. And I have to especially thank Dr. Thor. I was imported from Phoenix College, and she believed in me. She believed in us, that we could go ahead and create courses online. Okay? The first time I got there in January of 1996, and we sequestered all of the 18 faculty that we had, and by September, we had 18 courses online. And I thank that for the faculty that were here, that my faculty, because it was them. Thank you for that wonderful opportunity, because it was my life, and it was great. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. Next, I'd like to present Dr. Patricia Chase for recommendation for Emeritus distinction. Pat Case, would you come join me at the podium?
Or just stay there.
Dr. Case began her career at Rio Salado as an adjunct in the spring of 1985. She taught psychology in the evening at Alhambra High School, one of Rio's sites, many sites at the time. The class liked her so much that they asked if she would teach a second psychology class. And lo and behold, they all signed up for that class. And so that's how the story goes. So during the same time, she taught counseling classes at a satellite center for Scottsdale located in Paradise Valley. Later in 1988, she accepted a part-time MAT position with Rio, where she hired staff, scheduled classes, and ordered textbooks for Rio's area central office that was located downtown, which I believe is PC's downtown campus now. Dr. Case was hired in 1990 as a full-time residential faculty member in counseling. 2 years later, she became the faculty chair for sociology. She also served as the president of the Maricopa Faculty Association during her district tenure. In 1996, Dr. Linda Thor, there was a president by that name then, president of Rio at the time, charged her, as Dr. Ambrosia mentioned, and 12 of her colleagues, to put Rio classes on the internet. And they were true pioneers in higher education as they sat down literally at computer terminals to hear the stories and used an HTML program to put print-based classes online so that students can access education anywhere, anytime. It was very controversial, I'm sure, and the rest is history. So Dr. Case will always be part of Rio Salado College, as students will continue to benefit from her dedication for years to come. She established the Joe C. Bennett Student Assistance Fund in memory of her mother. The fund provides emergency assistance for things like diapers, food, transportation, and utilities so students can stay in school and pursue their dreams. So Pat, thank you for your many contributions to the district, our college, and our students, and we'll be forever in your debt. And we want to acknowledge that John is with her tonight, her husband as well. John, you're a star tonight. You get to be a star. So congratulations.
Thank you. Wow. Who would have thought when I was teaching that first class that I'd be standing here 32 years later getting emeritus status. It's truly been an amazing journey. the people that I've worked with, the opportunities I've had. This came as a second career for me. I was in the travel industry with the airlines, Braniff Airlines, if anybody kind of remembers Braniff. And I was a travel agent for 13 years because I'd flunked out of school. So I came back to school and achieved through my master's, and had the opportunity to give back to students through my work at first PV, and then my career with Rio Salado. It's been truly amazing. I want to thank all the extraordinary people that I've had an opportunity and a privilege to work with. You're an amazing group of individuals, and what you do in Maricopa and Rio Salado is awesome. And you should all be very, very proud of what you're doing. I especially want to thank the wonderful and supportive Rio faculty and administration. Many of came tonight. They are truly among the most innovative and caring individuals I've ever known. Everybody knows I always cry, so trying not to. Plus, they're really good cooks, and they're a lot of fun. We have the best holiday parties. I also want to thank Dr. Linda Thor, who came to Rio Salado the same year I was hired as full-time faculty, as Chris said. She taught me so much about leadership, friendship, being a Rio faculty member, and supported me as I was the first president of the Faculty Association from Rio, because I had no idea what I was doing. So she kept telling me, you can do it, you can do it. And she was also at times my personal editor for papers, emails, etc. Thank you, Chancellor Harper-Marinick. You and I have known each other since the 90s when you were at MCLI. We have achieved so much, both of us. And I so value your advice and support all these years. It's been wonderful. Thank you. And Dr. Bustamante, thank you for your leadership, your kindness, and your support for everything that you've done for me while I've been at Rio. And I also want to thank, I also know that you're going to continue to lead Rio into new areas, and they're going to be incredibly successful.
Thank you very much.
You got a great team. You're a great president. I am truly blessed with all the many friends I've made during my time at Maricopa and Rio Salado College. I want to thank everyone who's been a part of my amazing journey. It's just, I'm so blessed to have had this opportunity. And I hope you all enjoy your time with Maricopa, because it is an amazing place. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Thor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If I might have a moment of personal privilege. Because of my long tenure as president, because of my long tenure as president of Rio Salado College, I had the honor and the privilege of working with both Dr. Ambrosia and Dr. Case for some 20 years, and they both served as very important and valued advisors to me. I can attest to the tremendous difference that both of these women have made for both Maricopa, for Rio Salado College, and for thousands and thousands of students. And both of these women are loved at Rio Salado for their energy, their passion, their creativity, and for their compassion. And I know that all at the college already miss both of you greatly. So you must promise that you will stay in frequent and close contact with all of us. Congratulations on wonderful careers, and you certainly deserve this honor.
Thank you. President Dale, would you approach the podium and introduce your honorees?
President Hendricks, members of the board, Chancellor Harper Marinick, CEC colleagues and guests. Tonight is a night of celebration for Paradise Valley Community College. In a moment, I'll be recommending 3 faculty for emeritus status. You heard from our students, and later on you'll also hear from 2 of our students who participated in the Student Success Conference. But if you'd allow me, I would be remiss if I didn't take a personal privilege just to also share tonight that last week we lost one of our faculty members, Reyes Medrano, who was a longtime faculty member, served our business IT division, and was a faculty senate president. So again, not to take anything away from our emeritus folks tonight, but Reyes is missed, and I wanted to make sure you're all aware of Reyes' passing. With that said, it is my pleasure tonight to recommend 3 of our amazing faculty for emeritus status. Unfortunately, 2 of our faculty, due to last-minute family commitments, could not join us tonight. Dr. Roccaforte Gardner, an exceptional counseling faculty member, a Renaissance woman, a writer, a musician, founder of our peer mentor program, will be recommended for emeritus tonight. But again, unfortunately, she could not be here. As well as Ms. Rose Dermody, our founding faculty member for our nursing program, who worked tirelessly alongside our administration to develop a model partnership program with John C. Lincoln to found our nursing program a number of years ago. We will certainly recognize both of those individuals on campus, but again, they wish they could be here. But it is my pleasure tonight, John, if you'd come up and join me, to present to you John Nelson. And in your packet, you have a detailed description of his amazing work. 23 years as a faculty member, a number of years as an adjunct prior to that. He is a course developer extraordinaire. He's a published author. He was a faculty senate president. In fact, he served every single role within our faculty senate leadership. And one of the things that I find really remarkable about John, in fact, he served in one of the most difficult roles that faculty have. For 10 years, he was our English division supervisor for 10 years. And for 11 years, he served as a division chair. And I would argue that that is probably one of the most challenging and difficult jobs within higher education. And I know this to be true because John would share with me the minutes from his division meetings. And that's a risky thing to do with a college president, but it affirmed to me that he telegraphed with clarity issues of import about assessment, about student success, about our iStart Smart program. And I wish my leadership meeting minutes were as good as John's division meeting minutes were. He was a remarkable leader and just done remarkable work. And on occasion still teaches adjunct for us. So it is my pleasure to recommend John Nelson. And John would love to say a few words. Now, where are you at?
You're brave to allow an English teacher a chance at the microphone, but I promise to be brief. Members of the board, Chancellor Maria Harper Marinick, Maria, and Dr. Dale, and I know I'm leaving some people out, and I don't want to do that, so everyone in attendance, I just want to say how much I appreciate this honor that has been bestowed upon me. And I can only say just one thing very briefly, that in all the years that I've served with Dr. Dale, the administration at PVCC, and I've been on numerous district committees, I am just amazed at the opportunities that were afforded me coming from a high school environment, that you allowed me to be here and serve the Maricopa Community College District through Paradise Valley Community College, and have some great collaborations with both the administration and my faculty colleagues. And I just feel so grateful for the opportunities to grow both personally and professionally during this time. Thank you very much.
President Olson, would you approach the podium and introduce your honoree?
Good evening, President Hendricks, CEC members of the board, and Chancellor Harper Marinick, and guests in the audience. Tonight it is a privilege and an honor to present to you one of our founding faculty members at South Mountain Community College, and I'm going to ask the division chair, Dr. Jerome Garrison, to assist me in this presentation because he's lived in the same office suite with Professor Laura Collins for the last 35 years. So I asked Laura and Jerome to come up and celebrate this time together with us. So Laura was hired in 1982, and she was board approved. She became full-time in 1984. And she is one of the founding members of our college. And we are very honored to have shared all this time with her at the college. But this woman has dedicated so much of her life and her energy to the students of South Mountain as well as her colleagues. And the one thing that I wanted you to know about Laura is that she is the largest employee donor at our college. She gives very generously to our college. So we love her for that. But most importantly, this woman would coach our valedictorian students, help them write their speeches and coach them. And she did that year after year after year. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Garrison because he has many more stories than I do. I've only been with her for 7 years.
Well, Laura Collins is my colleague, and she's very special. I thought when she came to South Mountain, it was difficult to tell whether she was still adjunct or part-time, because actually when she came as an adjunct faculty member, she was all over the campus. She was volunteering for every event, every committee, and she was on a club sponsor for all the students. And I talked to her about it, and she said her goal was to really focus on student success. And that was her aim. And I'm telling you, she really did it while she was there. She was our first communication faculty member. She came in, expanded the curriculum, started offering classes at all these different times. And next thing you know, we had so many students, we had to hire another faculty member in the communication area because of all of her energy. And not only that, she went around talking about we need to mentor more students. We need to do a good job of that. And I agreed with her, but she took the time to do it. Students would line up outside her door, and she would just mentor them one after another after another. And next thing I know, her former students were coming, and they were standing outside her door. And I thought, what are you doing? She just said, I just take time to focus on them, and I make sure that they understand that it's important to do your best. Whatever you're doing, do your best. And so she would have students coming in who finished her master's degree, getting advice from her and working a while. I was just amazed. And then that's not it. With the events, I would look at her and she would show up for sporting events. It didn't matter whether it was a Tuesday night or Friday night. She'd show up for dance concerts, music concerts, all of those things. I said, Laura, what are you doing? You're here all the time. She says, listen, I teach from 125 to 150 students, and they are involved in all these events. And I want them to know that it's important to love what you do and to support others and care about what they're doing. And Laura demonstrated that each semester. She started the student assessment program at South Mountain, and that was like 30 years ago. And she never let it go. Every year, she was there presenting to students and being the MC for. I thought, you are out of your mind. You're not going to you're never going to let anything go. She said, no, they care. These students care about me. I care about them. And I want to make sure they understand that it's important to care. And that's not where she stopped. She went as far as taking on all of the faculty who would be new. It didn't matter what discipline. She became their mentor and started working with them, supporting them, asking them what they could do. And she didn't stop with faculty, but she went to other employee areas and became their mentor too. And I want you to know, this is an extraordinary lady. She is amazing, and she has been missed tremendously just from the little time she's been away. And I want you to know tonight that we are honored that you're recognizing her with this award, this distinction of Emeritus. Thank you so much.
Wow. I have really lived a charmed life. And a large part of the reason that I have lived a charmed life is because of Maricopa. Starting with Paul Elsner's great vision to open to the world and international ed, and Rebecca Brown, and working closely with all of those programs and taking advantage of all of those programs. Working with Maria Harper-Marinick and Naomi Story in faculty staff development for years. another opening in my life, working with student government and student activities for many years, another huge part of my life. Ben Bradlee, and a lot of you remember Ben Bradlee was the editor of the Washington Post during the Watergate era, said, and this is the best that I can tell you, if I could have afforded it, I would have done this for free. I love this so much. Here's a speech teacher who really at this moment would prefer to not make a speech, and just thank you all very much for my charmed life.
Thank you, Professor Laura Collins. We'd like you to tell us for the rest of your life. Thank you. And thank you for all that you've done for all the students at South Mountain.
Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you. Chancellor's report.
Thank
Chancellor,
you.
Would you please approach the podium?
Thank you. I was going to ask if I could approach the podium. Can you get on this side so I can? Thank you. And while we wait for the technology to work, Mr. Hendricks, members of the board, CEC, and guests, I love two parts of the board. Well, I love everything about the board meeting, but there are two parts I love the most. One is when we have students talking about their work and expressing their gratitude for what we do. But the second part is when we have the recognition of the Emeritus faculty, because these are the best faculty, not only in Maricopa, but the best faculty anywhere. And it's always bittersweet for me to say thank you and sorry that you're leaving us, even though many of them come back and volunteer. So I want to thank the board, and I want to thank the college presidents and everybody for allowing the time for that recognition that I think is important to remind all of us that we couldn't do this work if we didn't have the excellent faculty in our system. Tonight so thank you to all of you for all that you have done. And tonight I have two presentations. One is an update on the transformation, but I'm not going to start with that one because I have students with me instead of my presidents behind me, and I promised them that they would go first so they can go home and study. So we have, every year, we have the Student Success Conference that many people in this room have participated in, and we are now up to about 800 people participating. And it is an opportunity for us to come together as a community to learn, to celebrate, and to challenge ourselves with the important work that we need to do. This year, our topic was around pathways and transformation. We had two keynote speakers. One was Dr. Dirion Pollard, who is the president of Montgomery College, and she was a very candid presenter talking about the journey of transformation at her college. And there were many parallels between what she has gone through and the things that we know that we need to go through. And we also had Gretchen Schmidt, Dr. Schmidt, who is the national leader on the guided pathways. But one of the highlights of the conference, in my opinion, is that we have students who came to the conference as presenters together with their faculty members to let us know of the innovative work that they're doing. And I think that's important because I say it is a student success conference. So to have students there and to have their voice is important. So I asked three of the student groups that were present and presented to come tonight and share with all of us briefly the work that they have done and the things that they presented. So even though we have already seen Michael twice, we'll see him again. So from Paradise Valley Community College, we have Christopher Figueroa and Michael Guzman, and they're going to let us know what they presented, and then I'll introduce the other students after that.
Thank you. Thank you, President Hendricks, members of the board, Chancellor Harper-Marinick, and CEC for taking time out of your night to listen to students. The Student Success Conference was an amazing opportunity to share with others the interdisciplinary approach to transformational learning. What we presented on was a framework that we're developing, or that is or to be in the works, is a Club Z, which is a student success, an entrepreneurial student success club on campus. It's now become the Z Network as we strive to expand what it is that we do. And part of what it is that we do is we have an initiative that takes a positive psychology approach and a strength-based approach to student learning. So what is that? What does an interdisciplinary approach to transformational learning look like? For me, it was a non-traditional student, myself, arriving at a community college with no clue on what my next step was going to be. I took a culture and psychology class where I was encouraged for a project to look at how culture affects an individual's thoughts and behaviors. And not only present that as part of the learning content in our class, but also reflect on what skills did I develop, what skills did I strengthen that were 21st century workforce skills that would help me along my journey at Paradise Valley. So what does that lead to? At Club Z, we like to say that one thing will always lead to another. So this led to me becoming an honor student, to getting involved in a diversity and inclusion program on campus to help facilitate Mosaic for students. This led to my involvement with expanding Club Z, and really today, as a result of this strength-based approach and positive psychology approach, I can say that, I'm going to speak for you a little bit too. Michael and I were just awarded the All-USA Academic Scholarship for Paradise Valley Community College. This is not to go without saying that this approach in learning helped me discover my passion, helped me discover that I want to work with at-risk youth in a nonprofit setting. I was able to mentor 60 early college students throughout my journey as a hands-on way of getting to know the target demographic that I'm going to work with. And this led to me being an employee for the early college programs as an academic planner. Just some future ways that I'm applying this hands-on learning and this approach is I'm going to be pitching at the SVP, Social Venture Partners, pitch contest and pitching phase 1 of the Z Network, which again is going to expand to it's going to be an expansion of what Club Z does on campus and what Paradise Valley does on campus as moving forward, and hopefully get into phase 2 to start my own nonprofit. So that's a little bit about what we talked about. Let Michael share his experience with interdisciplinary approach to
No script this time, so somebody might have to yank me off this microphone. Thank you, and I was honored to be asked to come and speak. And I was honored and humbled to be able to be asked to go to the Student Success Conference and speak about my own experiences, share those experiences, and represent an amazing campus, Paradise Valley Community College, and again, that approach to learning and teaching that I like to say that, students get opportunities when they go back to school. And my experience was I received opportunities to create opportunities for myself. As a returning adult student coming back in my early 40s, I didn't know what to expect coming back to school. And so the journey has been amazing for myself. I've done work. I've worked hard, but without the styles and the experiences that I've had in the classrooms with my instructors, who not only teach, and my major is education. I will be a educator and game and counselor for community college, but my journey has been amazing. I've been able to take things that I'm being taught in these classrooms, and these instructors are not only supportive and encouraging, but they actually, in many cases, provide platforms for you to create opportunities, create events, such as the event I spoke of earlier, That started as a small coffee house event I would do, and it was really just for inclusion purposes and getting other students involved and sharing the experience, especially the returning adult community. Those events have grown. I've been president of that AWARE Club, the Adult 2-Hour Return to Education, I've been with them for 5 semesters, president for 4 semesters. I'm also with the Club Ed Leadership Board with the education program. And so all of the experiences I get in the classrooms, I'm able to take out of these classrooms. And I've created or participated in many events that it would take the rest of the night to mention them all, but similar events that I described, thrift drives, the Festival of Tales events that I described. But I do a lot of one-on-one mentoring, a lot of one-on-one coaching, a lot of life coaching with returning adults. It's a very important passion of mine for them to be successful. They need those supports. And what I learned in the classroom, especially going into education, I'm able to practice. I'm able to use when I'm working with these individuals and do what I can to let them realize it's not me making them successful, but what was done for me was just being able to show them they can be successful and giving them the supports they need. And so, like Christopher was explaining, the experiences, the learning experiences, and the journey has just been amazing. But even at the point where I'm still absorbing the fact that I did receive that scholarship opportunity, these opportunities would not have been there to create for myself if it wasn't for those learning experiences with the professors and instructors and student life and just all the different faculty and administration at Paradise Valley Community College and the support that we get. And like I said, the platforms that are provided for us to be able to do that and share that, as Christopher does as well, selflessly with the other students, and we share that success with the other students. And so it was an absolute honor to be able to go to that conference, to be asked to go to that conference, and to speak specifically even on behalf of our experiences at Paradise Valley Community College. Thank you very much.
Thank you to both of you. Now from Mesa Community College, we have Jeremy Pemberton, who is a member of the PTK community.
President Hendricks, members of the board, Dr. Harper Marinick, members of the CEC, and guests. My name is Jeremy Pemberton, and I am the College Project Officer with Phi Theta Kappa, and I have brought a portion of my team here in the front row. Give some waves. Yeah. Okay. All right, so every year, Phi Theta Kappa's College Project meets with administration, and we choose a project that's going to have the largest impact on the college. And this year, we met with everybody, president and vice presidents, and we accumulated 18 potential projects to work on. And that was a bit of a challenge because there were a couple that were really good, but Guided Pathways to Success was on the list, and that one's kind of hard to ignore. A lot of us were really excited to work with Guided Pathways. I was actually a lot more excited to work with it than I was my classes. And I'm somewhat jealous of the students to come that are actually going to be able to experience it. Let's see here. So I first wanted to highlight some data that really shows the importance of some of the objectives that we've worked to accomplish throughout the semester. So this data comes from a student success survey that was done by a Virginia tech company called Ooh La La, and they surveyed 25,000 students across 160 institutions. And what you're looking at is from one of the questions that asks, what are the top 5 challenges that students face at college? And you can't see it too well, but on the very left, this column right here is for institutions of size 1,000 and under, and then it's 1,000 to 5,000, 5,000 to 10,000, and then 10,000 plus. And my college is well beyond 10,000. And 2 of the largest issues here we definitely saw at Mesa Community College. At the top, that's time management, which is something one of our objectives work to try and alleviate that issue at our college. And the next one is finding information. Okay. And these are 3 of the main objectives that we set with Carmen Newland and Steve Budge. And the first one is to inventory all campus resources and support services at MCC. We've been doing this for about 4 months, and we've accumulated over 400 items, and that's still going. We're still inventorying more items. The second one is to create a comprehensive list of support services that can be easily navigated by students. And the third one is to determine the best times and methods to reach out to students. And for the third one, we developed a survey that had 4 questions. So here, this is something that we're still working on. This is Reinventing the Wheel. So at our college, we have a lot of resources, and we wanted to make an easy system, something that's intuitive for students to go to and know from one single point how to get to the help that they need. So I highlighted one of the circles, class help. So you click on that, and then you have 5 other wheels. One of them is places of studies, tutoring, and computer labs. I've talked to many students on campus, and a lot of students are not aware that we have 24-hour tutoring services online. So given that we have this tool on a website that students could use, we're sure that students will find a lot of resources they didn't know exist, opportunities they didn't know exist. We'd have a section here for opportunities, or internships would be, scholarships would be, and it'd also be a great networking source for the college because this has been a wild project because I've had to meet with all academic chairs, and there's 21 academic department chairs on campus, and I've gotten a lot of interesting information from some of them that affected this. Okay, so I just wanted to highlight one question from our GPS survey. When we first met with Carmen Newland, she really wanted to know when a student gets in trouble, at what point do we reach out to them? So we were trying to figure out what the best system we could use beyond the SAC. The standard? We were reading a book about GPS, and it said that the first way that we know, the first time that we know that students are in trouble are at the end of the semester when we get the grade checks in. It's like, okay, somebody's got 3 Ds, but that's not the truth. If everybody was utilizing Canvas, and we knew that 95% of the population for ages 20 to 25 wanted to be notified of tutoring services halfway through the semester, we could utilize that information, send it out at a time that they're more likely to use it, and ensure that more students are going to succeed that way. And here we have that, we have a question for each main category of academic department help. So tutoring and computer labs, academic advising, financial assistance, career services, and workforce development and academic opportunities. So for each one, we asked them, at which point would you like to be notified of each service? If your grade drops below an A, if your grade drops below B, C, D, or not at all. And some of the other questions that we included were, how do students want to be notified? Because that's something that's really important. Does everybody want to be notified through text? And then we also asked how they're currently being notified as well. All right.
Great work. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Jeremy, and it's nice to hear from students about the importance of guided pathways, since I will be doing an update on that. From Estrella Mountain Community College, we have Soraya Mejia, Tony Holman, and Anthony Ritz. So come out.
Hello, President Hendricks and all members of the board and everyone that's in attendance. Thank you so much for having us here so we can talk about our experiences. Going to Estrella Mountain, and I assume they're going to feel the same about their colleges. It's been quite a journey and quite a blessing for me. I've experienced a lot and grown so much. But so as she said, I'm Tony Holman, and I spoke at the Student Success Conference and about our new makerspace that we have, and my experiences with EPICS and how participating in our EPICS program, which is engineering projects and community service, has helped me be a better student. And I would just like to kind of start out by kind of mentioning some of the things we've done. Initially, when the EPICS program started, it was just me and Zoraya, who are she's about to come up after me. We were the only 2 students in there, and we helped a child who was born with a malformed hand. And instead of fully grown fingers, he pretty much had just kind of nubs there, and we built some prosthetic hands for him. And I was in charge of a wrist-activated prosthetic hand, and Sarai was in charge of a elbow-activated prosthetic hand. Unfortunately, we don't have the kind of tables that we had during the Student Success Conference. I'd love to bring, I think visual aids are great, but we don't have them, sorry. But besides that, I've worked on rockets in the makerspace, and I've been involved with setting up an augmented reality project, and I'm soon about to work on a laser harp, which is you'll have a array of lasers emitting from a little motor, and you can move your hand above it and it'll play a note. So that's it'll be fun. But all this has been very rewarding for me. I'm the kind of student that gets kind of frustrated when I've learned a bunch of theory and I haven't had a chance to apply it. And the EPICS program has given me that opportunity to apply some of what I've learned. And overall, I feel like it's just completely augmented my learning, and I understand so much more now, and it's given me a chance to give back to the community that's helped me out so much. And yeah, thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Dariah Mejia and I'm at EMCC as well. I am a first-generation college student for the family, so joining college I had no idea what I was doing, didn't know where to go. Thankfully, the advisors and enrollment people really helped guide my way, because going in I was just like, I think I need math, English, and science, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, once I got started, I got into my math class, and my math teacher recommended the STEAM engine and EPICS. EPICS was a really great community service thing. At that time, I wasn't too familiar with, and I didn't know where I would go with it, but I thought, you know what, it's something new, I haven't tried anything, and I'll go for it. In EPICS, I met Noah, who was a beautiful little boy who had this hand with nubs, and he was the sweetest little boy, and it didn't affect him at all. And to be able to create a hand that was elbow activated with just plastic fishing line and some screws, it was pretty amazing. I think the most part that affected me was allowing him to pick something up for the first time, seeing the reaction that he was able to pick something up, like within minutes of getting this elbow activated arm. He picked up this dog and was waving it around. It brought tears to my eyes. I saw his mom, and his mom was super excited, and it was heartbreaking. I mean, I was like, this boy, literally, he's had the capability, but no one's taken the opportunity to give him this hand. And then this is an open source website that allows thousands of people all over the world to get this. So from Noah's hand, it was a struggle. I'm not going to lie. We did thermal molding. I had to do casting, which I never knew how to do before. Just by going to the hardware store, I got duct tape and plaster, and I made like some makeshift thing for his arm, and it worked. But the biggest thing about going to this and going through the experience is I've never learned how to use like woodworking stuff. First semester in, I was making guitars, and I was making prosthetic arms, and I was learning how to use lasers, and I learned how to sew, which is kind of hilarious because my mom was like, you should know how to do this already, which is pretty amazing. Now I'm like, yeah, do you have some pants? I got this. But yeah, now moving on, I've now worked on a prosthetic finger for a campus. During my Noah's experience, a teacher actually who was going on along with this journey, he told me, my sister, she was shot and her finger was blown off. Is there anything you could do? And I'm like, I just knocked out an arm in about 3 months. I think a finger should be fine. 3 months down the line, we're still in the prototyping phase, but I mean, it's literally been a learning experience. I didn't know CAD software, and I've learned that from the very beginning. 3D printing, didn't even know what that was before this, and now I'm just like teaching other people and telling them, anything is possible. Learn from your mistakes. If you fail, try another way. Look at a different perspective. It was something I didn't know before, and I find myself helping my sisters, and it's like, they're like, I want to do that. And I'm like, okay, but find your own path. This is my engineering path. But now I'm always like, if anyone comes my way and they're like, is this something you guys can do? I'm like, it's something we can try. if we fail, we will find a way. And it's the best part. It's the best opportunity. I'd like to thank everyone for that opportunity. And yes, thank you.
Oh man, the big time. Hello everybody, I'm Anthony Scott Reitz. I am an employee at Estrella Mount Community College, as well as the president for the STEAM team, which stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts, and Mathematics. I'm also the team lead for the NASA Ascend program at our school. And I'm here to talk to you about some of my experiences. And first off, I have to thank David Weaver. He is my boss and mentor, and also the head of the EPICS program and the makerspace that we've told you a little bit about already. Man, at the beginning of this year, if you would have said I was going to work on a prosthetic leg, send something to space, half the stuff that I've done, I would have been like, what? You're crazy. I'm just going through college. So starting off with the EPICS program, I was approached by Zariah. She said, hey, there's this young girl at our college, and she had her foot amputated when she was younger, and we're going to start working on a prosthetic leg for her. And she said, would you be interested in doing this? And my major is biomedical engineering, so clearly I said, yeah, totally ready to hop on board. And I had no idea what I was getting into. Through this entire process, I've learned all these CAD softwares, 3D printing as well. I've been afforded the job that I have now, which I was able to create because I showed that there was a need for a lab tech position in the makerspace. It's been quite a journey. We have a lot of different tools in the makerspace. So we have a large 3D printer which prints a meter by a meter by a half meter, and we can print anything from PLA, ABS, Nylon X, which is carbon fiber infused nylon, to flexible filaments like TPU, which is like rubber on the bottom of your shoe essentially. And you can create anything. If you go into a CAD software, if you want something made, I can make it for you right now. That'll take me like 15 minutes. But at the beginning of the year, I wouldn't have had that opportunity. So I was introduced to SolidWorks by David Weaver, and he said, hey, I've got this entire program you can go through called Solid Professor. It was about 140 videos, and I was like, what? I don't want to go through that, but sure, I'll try it out. And 140 videos later, I went through SolidWorks training, and I hopefully can get certified in those certifications that SolidWorks offers. So I designed her leg like probably 50 times over because I figured out, every time you tweak something, you say, oh, I could probably do this a little better. I could probably do that a little better. When you print something out and it doesn't print how you wanted it to, you just go back to the drawing board. And it's that failure over and over. And it's something that I advocate for a lot is for students to keep trying over and over, because you're going to find a better way. Just because somebody is more experienced doesn't mean always that they're smarter, just because they know more of what not to do. So a few months ago, we had a prototype that I printed out, and that young girl came in, and she actually walked around in that prosthetic. So now I just have to finish the foot design for it, and she will have a usable prosthetic leg that she'll be able to walk around in, which is pretty fantastic. I know, thank you, cheers. And then on to the NASA Ascend program, which I'm the team lead for. We accomplished all of that stuff in the matter of like a month and a half, when the previous team had finished up everything the night before the launch. For the NASA Ascend program, we create a payload that collects atmospheric data, video, anywhere from barometric pressure, altimeters to measure the altitude. People sometimes put UV sensors on there to measure UV radiation, alpha, gamma, beta rays, all that stuff. And so our launch happened a couple weeks ago, and that was successful, and which was a really great opportunity to go through as well. Man, there's so much stuff that I want to talk to you guys about. It's crazy. I keep bouncing back and forth. I apologize. But as far as my experience goes so far, I really wanted to give back to the community and show people the learning process that I'd gone through, and that's why we had created the STEAM team. My objectives for the STEAM team were to reach out into the community and show students how to work in STEM and art as well, and offer the students at the college the opportunities that I've received, because I'm an opportunist. I like opportunity. When I give an opportunity, I take it and run. I like to further myself a lot, and so that's what we're there to do, to allow them to increase themselves professionally, critical thinking skills, go through the engineering design process, and to create a usable end product. We're doing a lot at the school through the makerspace and through STEM and STEAM in general, and it's only going to get bigger from here. So thank you.
I also want to thank the students for taking the time to come, all the good work that you're doing and articulating so well why the colleges are beneficial to you, but also the faculty members that work with the students that yield the kind of outcome that we heard tonight. So I know Dwayne Oakes, who leads the PTK, and David Weaver, he's still here. David, I have known him also, I don't know, all the decades I've been around. He's a physics faculty member, so thank you for bringing your enthusiasm. Yeah, thank you too, all of you for your good work, and let's say thank you again to the students for being here tonight. And since I took time to do that, which I think is important, I will go very fast through my transformation update just to, do you want to make sure that it shows? Oh, thank you. I'll try to go very fast because some of it is a bit of a review from what I have said before, but I want to make sure that the governing board and the public know that we're making some progress. So let me figure out how to do this. There we go. Yeah, let me. As a part of the review is the reason why we're engaging in this transformation work is about the students, about what you heard, is making sure that they have the experience that is important for them to meet their goals and then meet the needs of the community that we serve. So what is it? We are creating guided pathways, which is what Jeremy was calling the GPS. That's a version of that. We want to make sure that we close the achievement gap among the student populations that we serve. We want to make sure that we have more students that are ready to enter the workforce and employment based on the needs of industry. We want to make sure that we are optimizing the resources in the district, that we are fully implementing the classification and market-driven compensation structure, and that we have a robust performance management system, which is part of what the board was talking about a little earlier today. So we have a steering team, and we have tens and tens and tens of people working on the transformation. We have adopted this framework, which is borrowed from Achieving the Dream and Completion by Design. Completion by Design was a Gates Foundation project, and a lot of the materials are just free for people to use. So we have adopted this framework, and for each of those points, we have a connection, which is how we reach out to the students to make sure they know about the colleges. There is an entry point, and that is defined as the point of enrollment to completion of gateway courses. There is progress points, obviously completion, and then transition, which is defined as either going to a baccalaureate granting institution or entering the workforce. So the team for each of those, the team has developed outcomes. I will be providing this PowerPoint to the governing board, so I'm not going to read all of that to you. Again, it's just to show that we are making progress. So for each of those points on that graph, we have now outcomes proposed by the team. So here's some of the entry outcomes. We have progress outcomes, and then, of course, completion and transition outcomes. We have shared with the board some of the objectives that we have, the goals, the last month. So this is just to remind you that for each of the areas of focus, we have targets, we have objectives, and that the work will lead to the achievement of those. And those are the four primary areas. And then you don't need to read this because the point of showing this is not details, but it's just to say that for each of those points, we have specific strategies. And then we have what is called connection loss points. So we have identified, based on the research, what are the things that could potentially happen to students that lead to the students dropping out, not completing or not enrolling or not accessing the colleges in the manner that we would like to have. So all of this work is going on with the teams. And here, since we spoke last month, we have a new Maricopa website and student portal. We also have a portal for employees. We had the conference, I already talked about that. We are getting ready for the visits that will be conducted by the consultants that we've talked to you about before. So there will be 11 site visits, and they will begin in February. And we're looking at what is the best technology that we can access that will support the foundation work for guided pathways. The industry partnerships team has drafted 10 project scopes, including what you see there. And we are getting ready to have the team for the Advanced Manufacturing Institute. As a reminder, our goal for this year is to have 3 institutes started. We have the enterprise performance is connected to employees and is connected to budget, is connected to how new ways of allocating resources to not only the project but to the colleges. So that is work that is just beginning. So that is a quick overview just to show that since last month we've made some progress. So our goal is to bring information to the board and the public at every board meeting to make sure that you know that we have the momentum going and that we are hoping to achieve all the goals as we have expressed before. Any questions? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hendricks and members of the board for the time.
You guys are all going to miss the best part of the meeting. All right, our next item on the agenda is citizens interim. I'm going to go on to consent agenda and then come back to the citizens interim. All items with an asterisk are consent matters unless they are removed from the consent agenda at this time. Any item may be removed from the agenda by the chancellor as a matter of administrative prerogative or by the governing board upon motion duly made, seconded, and approved. Consent agenda items will be approved by one motion, and there will be no specific discussion of these items. Items removed from the consent agenda will be approved during the consideration of the non-consent agenda.
Mr. President, just a moment of clarity here. Under business services, we have a ground lease at Mesa Community College and a makerspace at Gateway. Are those on the consent agenda? They have asterisks at them.
They are currently on the consent agenda, but we can remove them.
I would like to remove 10.2, the approval of the makerspace, and 10.4, the ground lease with Arizona Agribusiness and Equine Charter School.
Okay, we will remove 10.2 and 10.4 from the consent agenda. Any other comments? Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. So moved. Second.
All in favor, so indicate.
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Consent agenda passes. We'll return to item 10.2. Conceptual approval for the makerspace. Do we have comments?
Some comment.
Could we start with a motion before we start on comments?
So move.
Second.
Mrs. Haber.
I've looked into this quite intently for quite a while, and I've been very pleased that all my questions have been answered, and I think that this could be quite an amazing accomplishment for us. I believe that the location is the right location. I admire Dr. Gonzalez and and Kristen Goopser for having put an incredible amount of effort into setting this up and being able to find partners to fund this project. I believe their energy is such that it just can't fail. It won't fail with those two behind it. I've just watched them for quite a few months, and they're absolutely amazing. And even at that, if somehow it doesn't work out, whereas I think it really will, we will not have lost anything, because we will have a building that was really run down, totally put back together and redesigned, and something that I think quite a few people would be happy to buy and make up any kind of loss that we might have had. So I support this wholeheartedly.
Thank you. Ms. Livingston.
I think this has been on everyone's minds for a very long time. But if we look towards an example, aside from funding, we just received it. And with that, I concur. Every question's been answered. Every possible issue has been orchestrated to, as Ms. Saver said, a little to no fail situation. And we just heard from students the excitement that is generated from these programs, and also the learning that's being taken place.
Thank you. Mr. Saar.
Well, I'll take the opposite view, although I want to make sure everybody understands the makerspace concept is awesome. I think you've heard it tonight. Not only that, we've got the engineering labs at South Mountain and others. The concept works. It didn't work in an organization that was around for several years in Chandler. They just declared bankruptcy. So we know that some models work better than others. And I just think the model that we've got here, even though there's been a lot of work, and we've had this since, now it's been a year, and I've opposed this ever since we've heard it for the first time, and I've still that mindset as well. The location and the business plan, just investing $6 million of taxpayer money and asking the district to put in $500,000 every year just to keep it going. There's got to be a better model out there. We know we've already had two other models that work effectively already, and I'm just concerned that this is not going to be the investment that our taxpayers and the district needs to make at this time. But I totally support an alternative location as well as another plan and a business model that I think has worked effectively in two of our colleges. I think this one just needs to take that same path.
Ms. McGrath.
Thank you, Mr. President. We did have excellent examples tonight of how makerspace works, but those makerspaces are on campuses where the students can readily access them, where it doesn't take them leaving campus, driving to downtown Phoenix, struggling to find a place to park, paying to find a place to park, and they're successful because they're easily accessible on campus. This building is on Van Buren. There is no place to park there. The closest place to park is in a City of Phoenix garage, and they have offered the school, I don't know if in prior times, they estimated 100 spaces for 3 years. And that isn't going to work. This is money that we're throwing down the drain. It just makes absolutely no sense. I don't know about the rest of you. I don't like to drive to downtown Phoenix. It's difficult to get there. The streets are so crowded and congested, and I don't think anyone is going to be willing to drive down there to use this thing. We've just had an example, as Mr. Saar pointed out, that a private makerspace company went broke. As I understand it, they were partnering with ASU, and that didn't work because there again, they were not on a campus. They were not accessible to the students. And to me, this is just throwing money down a rat hole. It's a terrible use of public money, and I'm strongly opposed to this.
Thank you. Mr. Gutierrez.
the reason there's congestion in downtown Phoenix is because it's booming. And the reason it's booming is because it's full of young people since Arizona State University began to have a major presence. And it has boomed every year since then. If you move through it, there are apartment buildings, condominiums. I mean, it's just an extraordinary growth. Mrs. McGrath doesn't like to park in downtown Phoenix. Well,
you can't.
All those young people down there have found a way to do it. They have found a way to do it. They have brought great enthusiasm to the center of the city. This facility is in exactly the right place. It is where young people are going to. It is where they're going to be in the foreseeable future. It is an incredible opportunity to work not only as a presence for the colleges where we have the greatest growth, but for partnerships with ASU, with the city of Phoenix, with major corporations, with APS. I mean, it's a huge opportunity. And I would venture to go one step further. We have land, what used to be the headquarters, Rio Salado Community College. It's right next to, it's only about 4 blocks from this facility. And we had to think about developing that. We had to think about building a facility because that's where our future students are. That's where our current students are. And finally, as to makerspace, I agree with Mr. Saar. It works. And I think you heard about it today. It works. It excites folks. And I want to congratulate Dr. Gonzalez and Vice President Goopster. Though I think I'm congratulating her because I like to say Goopster. No, it's because of the great work. I mean, it has taken real commitment to get this to this point. And I congratulate you, and I hope it goes well, and I hope we get moving soon.
Thank you. Dr. Thor.
Thank you, Mr. President. If I wasn't already enthusiastic about the makerspace, I certainly would be after listening to those students. And I'm confident we're going to have many, many more students just like that telling their stories about things that they learned and discovered at the makerspace. There are many, many aspects of about this project that makes me excited. First, we're taking an unused asset, and using it to not only reach out to the community, but also create some significant visibility for the Maricopa community colleges in downtown Phoenix. I also like the fact that Gateway is opening the makerspace to all of our colleges, which is exactly the kind of cooperation we want to see take place among our colleges. But Gateway has also done exactly what we're asking the colleges to do. Be entrepreneurial, find alternative sources of revenue, promote innovation, respond to the needs of business and industry, reach new markets. And they have brought in partners already that are impressive, including the United States government, Arizona State University, the city of Phoenix, and so on. So I am just confident that we've got the right combination here for a very, very successful effort.
Any further comments? I'll just make my own comments then. If I had been on the board 3 years ago, I would have said stop this project and don't move any further. If I'd have been on the board 2 years ago, I would have said the same thing. If I'd have been on the board a year ago, I still would have said it. And I'd like to say it today, but I'm looking at the time and effort that's been put into this by Dr. Gonzalez and everybody else that's worked at it. And for the board to allow this project to go forward for the number of years and times that it has, I just can't fathom at this point we're in a position to say no. They've put too much time and effort into it. It would send a message to everybody else in the district spending your time and effort to be creative and do things like this, you're just going to spin your wheels in 2 years or 3 years or hundreds of hours later, the board's going to decide to pull the plug on it. I couldn't in good conscience do that. So although I'm opposed to everything about the makerspace, I'm going to vote in favor.
That's good.
All in favor of approving item 10.2 on the makerspace, please so indicate by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay.
The ayes have it, and the makerspace is approved. Item 10.4, 32-year ground lease. Do we look as bored up here as you look out there? No. It's can I get a motion to approve?
Are we approving or are we?
Just a motion.
Just a motion. I move to approve.
And a second?
I second it.
Okay, comments?
I believe we have a speaker.
Well, yes, we do. I'm glad you reminded me. Back to the public interim that I skipped earlier. John, I believe it's Mulhern?
Yes, that is correct. President Hendricks, board members, CEC, Chancellor Harper-Marinick, and guests. As the director of Mesa Community College Athletics, I appreciate the opportunity to speak on this matter. And I speak on this matter out of respect for the system and the processes that go into place to make decisions by decision makers. I have two game plans here. I was a basketball coach, a volleyball coach, and now I'm the director of athletics. So I have a first half plan and a second half plan. And I'm going off different documents, but I want to go off the first document that I received, that the justification for this ground lease was that the land was purchased in 1992 for $1 million plus for the purpose of possible expansion of athletic programs and to obtain an east entrance into Southern and Dobson campus. During these past many years, there has been no need, discussion, or ideas about the use of this vacant land. The college had no plans to expand its athletic programs or facilities. However, the college will retain roadway and sidewalks to ensure an east campus entryway. This is the first paragraph of the action item. Now, I just wanted to say that I want to make it clear that this piece of property is valuable to athletics. In 2006, there were some documents and drawings that were created for a soccer field, which included, the drawings were an irrigation plan, a landscape plan, and a grading and drainage plan. In 2010 and 11, I actually submitted and received through the college capital request process $10,000 to install a sprinkler system on this piece of property so it can be maintained properly for consistent use. Unfortunately, during that year, I had to utilize the funds for an emergency purchase for a pole vault pit. In 2011, there were also documents and drawings for a lighting plan for the soccer field and the softball field on those properties. In 2012 and 13, once again, I submitted and went through the capital approval process and received $11,000 for a sprinkler system for this property, so once again that it could be maintained and utilized by our athletic programs. I actually transferred the funds to the Building and Grounds Department, and in return I received some documents and drawings for a sprinkler system for that soccer field. Unfortunately, it wasn't completed, so I do not have a sprinkler system out at that soccer field. It's irrigated, so I can't utilize it the way I would like to as the Director of Athletics at Mesa Community College. However, our baseball coach, he stated we have a portable batting cage there, and the field provides the ability to have multiple hitting stations and the ability to have more players engage in meaningful practice situations. Now that is the first half. The second half, I received a document today that was dated in 1995 regarding the purchase of this property. So the first one said 1992, the second one said 1995. Now in 1995, it says, for many years, Mesa Community College has struggled with traffic flow problems due to limited ingress-egress routes. Purchase of the above parcel of land would allow vehicles to access the campus via Longmore Road and would increase acreage for much needed parking. It doesn't say anything about athletics. So the first one, 1992, and the second one, 1995. I guess there was another action item submittal that was submitted on this same property. I haven't seen it, so I can't really comment on the second one, but I guess there was some comments regarding going through the cabinet and shared governance for the approval of the capital funds. I did go through the process properly to secure funding to improve on that property so we could utilize it. And the second thing was shared governance. And I think when I went through the process in 10 and 11 and 12 and 13, shared governance actually wasn't even established at that time. So I really couldn't go through shared governance because it wasn't established. So I'm just here kind of defending the property because I would like to utilize it as a soccer field. Any questions? Thank you.
Mr. Gutierrez.
Mr. President, let me begin by saying, and I hope everyone understands that the Arizona Agribusiness and Equine Center School has been working with the community college districts for many, many years. And the relationship has been extraordinary. They are an excellent partner and have been an excellent partner in a number of our colleges. Nonetheless, I think this particular land lease hasn't been thought through at all. And I mean, I can go through it in detail. I won't, but just let me give. We have a 32-year land lease on a piece of property which is immediately next to an area that we know is imminently going to be developed for an educational campus and for a commercial uses. That in itself will increase the value of this property absolutely predictably. And it's going to happen. The plans are approved. I received a memo from Mesa that says, well, the city has no objection. I don't really care if the city objects. The real question here is our role, our job as members of this board is to protect the interests of the taxpayer, is to protect the interests of the colleges. And those interests include that property. The lease that has been arrived at, or the proposal for a lease has been arrived at, has a 32-year agreement at a fixed price. I don't know of any other lease in a commercial area, think about your own rent, that has a 32-year fixed rate. And this is especially, I think, objectionable when we know that immediately next to it, imminently, we're going to have commercial and educational campus take place. So I just think this is poorly thought out. I think that the Mesa administration has not seriously looked at this in a way that any real estate person, first of all, should have. And secondly, I don't see any immediate need to sell this property. It can have other uses, as has been pointed out by the college. there's no imminent need to sell it. Somebody's going to say to me, well, you're leasing it. But I'm leasing it for 32 years. None of us will be here. And so therefore, we might as well sell it. This is poorly thought out. And let me say again, I admire and I respect the work of the Equine Charter School. They do fabulous work. And I'm sorry that they've gone this far with from our negotiators on our side, giving them the impression that this was approvable. I don't believe it is. So I am prepared to vote no, Mr. President.
Okay. Dr. Thor.
I also have no issue with the charter school, but I do have many issues with this proposal. One, it's problematic to me that this land did not go through the full campus master planning process that other parts of the campus went through. Secondly, we have a brand new multi-million-dollar performing arts center. And we are talking about putting horse stables downwind of that performing arts center. Also, the Performing Arts Center uses that land for overflow parking. And when I asked about that, the response that I got, well, an agreement had been made with Fiesta Mall for the overflow parking. Well, as Mr. Gutierrez has indicated, probably Fiesta Mall in its current configuration will not exist in a couple years. But the thing that bothers me the most is we, as Mr. Gutierrez is stressing, are proposing to enter into a 32-year lease with no inflationary factors. That means that they will be paying in 2050 the same that they would be paying in 2018. So just so I had some perspective on this, I went back in time. 32 years ago was 1985. And I looked at the buying power of $1 today versus $1 in 1985. In order to purchase the same amount in 1985 today, you would need $2.29 for every dollar. So I can just hear a board 10 years from now, 20 years from now, certainly 30 years from now saying, what on earth were they thinking that they entered into a lease that would have only 40% of its value by the time it got to the end? So I cannot, in good conscience, support this.
Mrs. Haver.
I agree with what Mr. Gutierrez and Dr. Thor said, but I would like to take it even to maybe a deeper level because, like both of them, I admire the Equine Charter School, and I think we need to be reminded that the children who attend are actually children. And I am very concerned with the way Mesa Community College leadership has been supportive of what I would call radical political agenda. Now, I realize that students have academic freedom, but a president does have the right to put limits on that freedom. And if you're going to have people come to your campus and speak in a rather critical way of, let's say, as happened just last week at Mesa Community College, speak critically of law enforcement, I think that a president should know to at least require somebody there from law enforcement to give the other side, to explain the rationale maybe for some decisions that the three speakers didn't like, that kind of thing. So I'm concerned about these children, to be perfectly honest. And of course, that would include many of the young college-age students, that they need, that academic freedom should also allow for diversity of opinion. And I would like to see Mesa consider that. And another point of all of this is that Congressman Andy Biggs wasn't allowed to complete what he had hoped to do there, which was to speak to students. And the reason that his office gave, well, because of security. Well, the venue wasn't correct for security. And I don't know if that was done intentionally or if it was just one of those things that happened because the leadership just didn't think about how important it was to have good security. But it just, I hate for any college to get into this world of political destruction, which is what we have. I'd like us to be focused on education, on learning history, on that sort of thing, and all the different professions that we have. And if we're going to have discussions that are hot issues, we should be sure that only one side is represented. And so that's my issue with it. I will not be able to support this, and I would love to see the area turned into a soccer field, personally. I love soccer.
Thank you. Ms. Livingston.
Well, I'll be in the minority tonight. And that's okay. I don't disagree with anyone here on this board. We are one vote. And it sounds like the vote will stand, not in my favor, but that's all right. I will be lending a yes, but let me tell you why. If you remember what Dr. Harper-Marinick showed in the beginning, the pathways, what's the first pathway? It's involvement with K-12. What does AAC do? They involve high school students in a charter environment, and they directly go over and they take classes every single day. I think I've harped for 3 years on we need to reach out to our base. Our base are those high school students, and we're tending to forget about that. I can't solve, none of us can, societal issues. College is college. Free speech is free speech. And we can't solve that. And we certainly can't solve that by closing the doors to one of the most fabulous charter schools I've been on the campus of. Now, I've gone to PVCC and I've been on the AAEC a couple times. The horse smell, I don't smell it. It's downwind, it's somewhere. I think there's places to put it. As for the cost, all right, there's some cost discrepancy there. As for soccer, well, we haven't done anything with it. Now, I'm not expecting anyone to come to my vote, but what are we forgetting here? We're forgetting the children. Number one, it would put butts in seat for Mesa. And no offense, but Mesa's declining right now. So one, the college would make some money in costs. They would be taking classes ASAP. Two, we'd have marvelous students going through the system. Their charter system and our system. Either progressing on to a four-year university or going out directly into the workforce. So by taking more of a political stance tonight, we're forgetting the kids. I promised myself years ago when I started sitting on boards that I would always vote for the kids. And after meeting with the school, taking the tour not just once but twice, and I know many of you here have, and I'm not trumping any horns. That is not my point here. I feel it is. I feel I must vote yes, even though I'll stand in the minority. Thank you very much.
Mr. Sarr.
You know, I've been on every one of the AAC campuses, including Prescott Valley, and I can say that and I've talked to students who have gone through it. I've worked with one right now that says the best things about the school, and I can't disagree with that. So this is not about the school itself. It appears that the vote's going to go the way I think it has to go, because I'm not going to repeat what everybody else has said. I want to make a commitment, though, that there is a better solution to this on or near that Mesa campus that I'm sure that everybody can be happy with. We just have to open our eyes to other opportunities in that local area, and we'll take care of not just the 300 or 400 students that's projected, but more. Things are changing, as was said, none of us up here will be here 30 years from now, so why should we worry about it? Well, people that were here 30 years prior to us made some really good decisions, because we are where we're at. And we need to make sure that we look out to the future. It's going to change a lot more in the next 30 years than it did this past 30 years. We have no idea what the needs are going to be physically nor educationally, but we have to make sure that we protect our responsibilities of fiduciary to the members of this community as well as to the students. So I open the door to working with AAEC to find a solution that meets the needs of those of us up here as well as the students and the organization of the charter school.
Further comments? Ms. McGrath.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd love to have this charter school. They do a wonderful job, but I have great reservations about having it on the Mesa campus because of the way it currently operates. I attended a program at Mesa last Wednesday. It was presented by Student Life, the American Civil Liberties Union, ACLU, Black Lives Matter, and CARE, Council on American Islamic Relationships, put on the program. Student Life, with our money, provided snacks, packaged snacks, bottled water, and apples. Snacks were in nice, pretty, colorful tubs that the college apparently owns. The main message of the program was the complaint that law enforcement agencies cooperate with Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, ICE. At the close of the program, I visited the women's restroom next to the meeting room. There were 2 of the colorful tubs in there on a counter. One had feminine hygiene products, and the other one had Trojan brand condoms, premium lubricant, bare skin sensitivity type. In my estimation, we are lacking effective leadership at this school, both from the administration and the students. I think would be better off if we had a change in leadership in both instances, or at least a change in the attitude of these leaders. This has been a misappropriation of public funds, and I'm horrified to find that we are doing this on our campuses. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. I'll just make a few closing comments on this. I don't have a real passionate feeling towards this issue one way or the other, but the comments that no thought has been given to this lease or that it's not been thought through, I have to comment on. This issue was first brought to the governing board, I'm going to guess 6 months ago, and 100% of the board was present, and we gave clear direction what should be done in return to the board. And they returned to the board again probably 4 months ago. 100% of the board was present, and we gave further clear direction what to do in return to the board. Return to the board again maybe 2 months ago, maybe a month ago. At that time, 5 members of the board were there. We gave further direction. And now we're here tonight, and I don't know who it is that didn't think it through or didn't give any thought to it at all, but there were 7 board members in 2 different meetings and 5 board members in a third one, as well as members of the administration. So I assume we're referring to 7 members of this board, the college president, the chancellor, and a variety of other people gave no thought to this lease at all. I'd like to think that I did give it some thought. I did understand it, and I did understand the direction that we gave on both occasions when we asked them to come back with specific changes. Tonight we have a new revelation. And I've never heard this before. Tonight we've figured out that horse manure smells like poop. And that's great. I hadn't really thought that through before. As I hadn't thought this through in the previous 3 discussions that we've had. I'll have to admit, I can't disclose what did come up because these meetings were executive session, but I think I can say that nobody mentioned to me that horse manure smells like poop. And it hadn't occurred to me until tonight. And I'm happy that came up so we can consider that to think about it tonight, since none of us gave it any thought prior to tonight. I fully agree with Mrs. Haver's comment. I don't like the culture that I receive emails about on the Mesa Community College campus. I don't know that would cause me to prevent this charter school from being there. I don't like the hate speech that I hear about. I don't like the disrespect for police. I don't like the idea that Representative Biggs was not able to speak for whatever reason. There's a whole list of conspiracy theories as to why he wasn't able to speak. I don't like any of that, but I don't know that I could pick out any specific person or cause that perhaps didn't think that through either. I don't know that I'm not really excited about Ms. McGrath's condom experience either. I mean, that sounds concerning. If you had high school children using the women's bathroom, I have high school kids at home, and I don't know that I'd be excited about my daughter coming home with a handful of Trojan brand, whatever it was, condoms. I'd prefer that she didn't do that. But anyway, with those comments, I think we need to realize and be sensitive that this is another issue that's been worked on for an extensive period of time, maybe not as long as the makerspace, but for several months, and the board gave direction, and the direction was followed, and they came back to us, and they came back to us, and they came back to us, and they came back to us. And now, after they've done all this work in a diligent, dedicated fashion, we come up with comments like nobody thought it through. It wasn't thought through enough. Horse poop stinks. I don't want to vote for it because there was condoms in the bathroom. I don't want to vote for it because they don't like police on campus. I respect all the members on this board. I respect all their opinions, and I agree with most of the comments that have been made. But if we expect our college presidents and our administration to move this district forward into the new ground that we hope to be in the future, we have to support what they do. We have to give them guidance, set policy, and support them when they do it. We can't let things go along 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and then at a board meeting come up with these types of comments. But, Mr. Gutierrez.
Mr. President, I'd just like to point out that from the very beginning, we have pointed out that the land lease was fixed and had no inflationary factor going forward from the very beginning. And somebody obviously didn't hear that, because what we have here, after all of those meetings you talked about and described, is exactly the land lease we objected to. I'd like to point out that we said that there was going to be commercial development and an educational campus immediately next to this place. And that we wanted information on the impact that would have on the property. And obviously, somebody wasn't listening, and somebody wasn't thinking it through. Because the memo that we got said that the mayor didn't object to this. Well, that wasn't what our concern was. Our concern was specifically economic. And I would also like to point out that horses have been doing that for years. I just can't imagine you didn't know that. It must be your olfactory kind of diminishment in your age.
I obviously didn't think it through. But, so I think we can go ahead and vote. Any more comments, or can we go ahead and vote? Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay. Nay.
The nays have it. It does not pass. Move on to items 11.1, 11.2, 11.3, our first reads. Are there any comments or questions?
President,
Ms. McGrath.
again, I'd like to note that we have more hires than we have separations. I would really like to see us reduce the number of hires as we're losing students. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to monitoring reports. 12.1, 12.2, 12.3. Do we have any questions or comments? Governing board reports. Dr. Thor. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, gotta do that.
You almost always call on me last, so you took me by surprise. I did want to just briefly comment on 3 events that I participated in this month. The first was the induction of new members into the Hall of Fame at Mesa Community College. And Mr. Saar was also present at that event. I thought it was an absolutely remarkable and inspiring event. The honorees that were recognized for excellence in teaching, outstanding athletes, service awards, and alumni achievement were all individuals who were later in their careers. And they commented about how their experience at Mesa Community College had helped shape their lives and change their lives. So I did want to compliment Mesa on the event and tell them how special I thought it was. I also, along with others, had opportunities to attend the Student Success Conference. And whatever I was going to say about how wonderful the conference was is not necessary after you heard from the students. And finally, on November the 9th, I and a number of other members attended the grand opening of the Military and Veteran Success Center at Luke Air Force Base. And as you may know, Rio Salado College has had a presence at Luke Air Force Base for 4 decades. So I thought it was very, very fitting that the college is now offering the Military and Veteran Success Center. I was impressed by that there were representatives of so many of the cities and organizations serving that area. But the thing that stuck with me most was the presentation of a check for nearly $1 million from the Maricopa County Industrial Development Authority in support of that center. So congratulations to Rio Salado.
Thank you. Ms. Livingston.
No report.
Mr. Saar.
No report.
Ms. Hamer.
Well, I had an interesting month. I'll just mention 3 events. One was the Student Success Conference at the Renaissance. That was really delightful. I think whenever we celebrate students, I think all of us really enjoy it very much. I attended a presentation at Scottsdale Community College called Business United Scottsdale Schools. And the featured speaker was our own chancellor, and she did a wonderful job. She got everybody kind of in the right mood with her humor and her talk about all the good things that we're doing. And the second speaker was impressive. He was a little bit more serious, and he was from the medical world, and he told us how the Valley was becoming a hub for medical research, which I think is great news, especially for those of us who are getting older. And then, of course, the vet center that Dr. Thor just talked about. I really enjoyed that, even though it was kind of a long drive, but it was worth it.
Thank you. Ms. McGrath.
Thank you, Mr. President. I had the pleasure of attending the Arizona Economic Educators Conference or dinner in Scottsdale, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself. There was a large crowd there, and I introduced myself to people that I didn't know and sat with some of them, and everyone I ran into, I said, who's your favorite dead economist? And here I'm at an economic conference, and I couldn't believe it. The answers, they would stutter and stumble, and one fellow who was a teacher carried on about the administrator at his school, and I thought that's a little bit odd. And then I would ask them, who's your favorite living economist? And I really didn't get any answers there, so it made me feel just absolutely wonderful, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And the best part of it was that I got to sit at the table that we had reserved, and I got to sit with Jennifer, is it Gresko, G-R-E-S-K-O? Dr. Gresko is a faculty chair in education at Rio, and I've never met a brighter, more wonderful educator. Congratulations, Chris, for having her on your faculty. It was a wonderful evening, even though she nor her husband were up to date with me on economists. The lady next to me, when I said she's on the board at the foundation, and I asked her about her favorite living economist, and she answered Milton Friedman, and I said, if he were living, he'd probably be 105. And she says, oh, I didn't know he was dead. She said, I've been out of the country. I said, where have you been? She said, Uganda. I said, well, you're excused then.
Mr. Gutierrez.
Karl Marx was a good economist. I have no report.
Okay, I attended Beauty and the Beast, which was great at Mesa Community College. Did a phenomenal job. One complaint is a number of the people in it, if I understand correct, weren't students. And it's nice to give the students an opportunity to be in these productions. They may never make it to a stage beyond these, and it's, I guess it hadn't occurred to me that we don't reserve these positions for students. Sometimes we bring in professional or semi-professional people. But it was a great production just the same. As I was entering, the air was fresh and crisp. There were no smells in the air that would not be welcomed at a performing arts center. It was just fine. Yeah. I guess it's going to stay that way. External community reports. Mr. Sarr.
What's that? Oh, I'm sorry. No report.
Somebody wake him up. Okay, next meeting dates, December 5th, agenda review, 4 o'clock. Monitoring retreat, December 5th, 4:30. December 12th, the next regular governing board meeting at 6:30. Get a motion to adjourn. And a second?
I second it.
Meeting adjourned.